Rekhadi, over to you.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to you all on our 37th episodes of Use the Nurse Talk Show. First of all, I would like to convey my gratitude for liking our show and watching our show. Your words of inspiration and motivation boost up to me and our entire team. As you know, we are coming another. As you know, we are coming with uh, another way of our show. We have three sections in our show. First section is exclusively for the student because they have excellent and wonderful ideas, innovation, and perspective. Our second section will be an inspirational story of a nurse leader, which might inspire and motivate to our new generation. And our third section is exclusive for the public, that is for the youth, where you will find lots of information and helpful ideas. Not taking much time, I would like to start my first section with the student, that is student debate. The topic of today's debate is, are we fit to teach our nursing students with no clinical experiences? To talk about on this topic, we have our two talent and young BSc nursing students. Let me introduce Miss Alina Elizabeth from Pune. She opted nursing because she felt that by becoming a nurse, she could able to touch the pulse of patients. Pulse means feeling, happiness, worries, anxiety, and many more other emotions. After 10 years, she wants to see herself as a clinical nurse counselor. So welcome to Miss Alina Elizabeth. Our second speaker is Miss Anina Pochan from Kerala. She opted nursing because she believes that nursing is a very noble profession. She wants to become a bedside patient nurse by becoming an integrated partner of healthcare team. Welcome Ms. Alina and Anina for our today's debate. Are we fit to teach nursing student with no clinical experiences? We just want to know your perspectives. Over to you, Ms. Alina.
So, good evening, one and all. Nurses are scientific yet holistic, eternally patient yet incredibly efficient, rarely honored but always honorable. We know that all nurses complete a rigorous program of extensive education. Most become registered nurses who work in clinical settings, and some of them decide to become nurse educators. These nurse educators play an important role in promoting quality nurse education. They inspire, teach, and mentor the next generation of nurses. Nursing care is the number one criterion patients use to measure the quality of care at hospitals. Quality nurses come from quality education, and quality education needs to have quality educators. Hence, it is required for nursing teachers to hold an advanced degree. But apart from that, there is one more mandatory requirement, that is clinical experience. But are we fit to teach nursing with no clinical experience? So, today, I will be speaking in favor of this topic, saying, yes, we are fit to teach nursing with no clinical experience. Nursing schools and colleges are not just mere buildings. It is this very place where an aspiring nursing student learns about the science and art of nursing and blooms into a skillful nurse. But this above process will never be complete if we are on our own. We need good teachers to teach us and give us all the knowledge we need. But teaching is not a very simple process as it seems. We all have prepared lesson plans and audiovisual aids for practice teachings in nursing school. We may have felt overwhelmed about how the topic has to be explained and whether everyone is understanding it. Thus, we are aware about the amount of time and efforts that have to be put in to teach a subject. The teacher has to integrate all the three teaching learning domains, that is, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. A nurse educator cannot just stand in front of a classroom and expect her students to listen, understand, and leave her class filled with knowledge. There are times when a teacher has lots of clinical experience, but she can't explain what she's trying to teach in an easy way. And there is no such fixed method in teaching. That is where pedagogy plays an important role. Pedagogy, in simple terms, means the teaching style or the art of teaching. It is something that requires meaningful interactions with students and the learning environment. A teacher will understand her method of teaching only after spending ample time in the classroom and after engaging her students in various teaching learning activities. The nurse educator will be able to come to the level of knowledge of the students while teaching. She will understand the difficulties that the students might face in the process. Then she can assess the gaps in learning and clarify the doubts of students. Now, we can't say that these nurse educators have zero clinical experience. These nurse educators have definitely had a lot of clinical exposure in their student life. It is due to this exposure that they discovered the best specialty that suits them and their passion to teach young nurses. To others, it may look that the nurse educator has completed a higher level of education and now her only duty is to teach. But in reality, their learning never stops. The nurse educator has a dual role now of a teacher and of a student. The teacher has to complete the teaching orientation and skill training in the simulation lab. The teacher correlates with the experiences of her student life. She applies the lessons she learned from the mistakes that she made as a student. A nurse educator also has to go to the clinical area, and while she is in the clinical area as a teacher, she learns so much more. She learns to provide a comparative view of the patient scenario and the textbook picture. When the students are performing any nursing intervention, the educator anticipates about the unexpected outcomes that she has commonly observed and teaches them how to prevent it. After teaching, she assesses the knowledge of students and evaluates the demonstration skills. She also shares experiences that she has seen in her student life so that the students can relate to it well and understand better. A nurse educator may not have years of clinical experience, but she is a good observer. There are certain techniques that are employed by some nursing staff in the hospitals for performing procedures smoothly. For example, a trick used when it is difficult to access a vein for IV cannulation is to soak the hand in warm water so that the blood flow increases and dilates the veins, making them easier to find. The educator will know about it and she will make sure that the students learn it too. Nursing professionals are committed to the well being of everyone, and the research they conduct often has lasting impact. Nursing research discovers new knowledge related to nursing care to build a scientific basis for nursing practice. A nurse educator who has spent more time in the educational field will have more in depth knowledge about the subject. She will be able to understand about the importance of research and can guide her students with respect to evidence-based practices in nursing. Most will say that clinical experience as a registered nurse is necessary. But here, two things that matter the most are the place of experience and what knowledge was gained. If the nurse has spent around 3 to 4 years working in a hospital that has limited technology and very few patients, will it be of any use to the nurse? Later, she may join as a clinical instructor in a nursing college. There, she will again have to revise all the theory knowledge and at the same time learn about the practical aspects. Then, those 3 4 years of experience become of no use. Instead, the nurse could have actually spent those years developing her teaching skills. Nurse educators can even attend additional training or courses to learn about the recent methods of teaching with technology in compensation for clinical experience. I would also like to add one more point on the current situation. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, nursing students encountered unexpected changes in their education, including loss of direct patient care and laboratory experiences. Clinical exposure is not guaranteed as of now. Classes are online, and students desire more than just hearing. They will want to engage with the content using digital learning resources. So, even though the teacher has many years of clinical experience, if she doesn't possess the necessary technology skills and can't adapt to online teaching methods, then it is pointless. I would like to conclude by saying that nursing curriculum is designed in such a way that it is beneficial for both the teachers and students. And the teaching learning activity becomes the give and take process for both. Hence, it doesn't make the teacher incapable of teaching nursing students, even if she has no clinical experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ms. Anina. Now we would like to listen your perspectives on the topic, are we fit to teach nursing with no clinical experiences? Over to you, Ms. Anina.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, is my voice audible to you?
Yeah, please continue.
To imagine a thing is different, and to feel a thing is really very different. Good evening to the dignitaries and everyone present over here. I am Ms. Anina Pinachan, and I'm here to strongly put my point of view on the topic, are we fit to teach nursing with no clinical experience? My personal view is that no, we are not at all fit to teach nursing with no clinical experience. Actually, theory is an academical knowledge, and when we do the things, then only we'll be able to understand the complications. In theory, it has been taught that while doing IV canalization, first we have to find the nerve and then we have to do the procedure. At the time when we go to do the procedure, then we'll be stumble like how we have to find the nerve. As it has been taught in our theory, even the body features differs and the equipments differs. In the same situation, we know how to switch on the fan, but actually we doesn't know what the mechanism is happening inside it. That is how the motor works. This will be the situation of the students when a teacher with no clinical experience is being taught. And while speaking, here we are playing with real life. That is, while we're handling human life, we have to be extra cautious. Unless and until we have a good practical knowledge, we will stumble there and we will leave the patient to casualty or even to death. And in this situation, we have to understand that reality is different and book written words are extremely different. If you doesn't have experience, then how will you differentiate a real flower from an artificial one? Even you doesn't use when you touch it or when you smell it. This only a teacher, only a well-normal teachers will teach you. Having fever, their temperature will be 99 Fahrenheit or above that, and the teachers with clinical experience, the same thing they will explain you with all the features, indications, contraindications, and contra contraindications, indications, features, and with all the things, that is, if complication occurs, how you have to tackle it, and what are the signs and symptoms, etc., all advantage. Free is a first-hand knowledge. Only this is not enough to deal with a real human life. And if you need to understand something, you have to read. If you need to experience something, you have to practice. There's a common saying that practice makes a man perfect, and teachers who practices will make the students understand better and explains you more clearer. I think this makes sense for a today's topic. And teachers, the instructors must know the intelligence and capacities of their students, and this is only possible when they have enough knowledge to evaluate it. And this has been said that theory, we have to fix in mind that theory is an imaginary world where we can only imagine, and practical is a real world where we can experience the thing. Similarly, teacher from a real world, that is with practical knowledge, is an asset for the students. She'll be able to explain the things 100 times clearer. As we are, nursing is a practice-based profession, and when the nurses come out without this practice, I think their efforts are meaningless and even worthless. By speaking about my personal experience, when I was posted in male surgical ward, I got a patient who was admitted there since 1 week, and he was under fluid therapy and his cannula was out. It was my responsibility to keep that cannula and restart the fluid therapy. And I was pretty much familiar with the procedure and I was very confident and I went to do the procedure. And at that time, I was unable to find the nerve and I got stumbled there. Everyone was looking at me and I was seriously helpless. At the same moment, my teachers came for rounds and they understood the situation, and my ma'am came towards me and said that what happened, and she understood. She said me that do not hesitate, let's wait, we can do this. And she just tied the tourniquet and she asked the patient to keep his hand firm and showed me where to puncture. I did the procedure and I completed it successfully. I just shared this instance just to say that this is a confidence level what I gained from my ma'am. If she would not have come at that moment, I would have dropped that procedure and given to someone else to complete it. But my ma'am was there with me and I was confident that whatever happens by mistake also, she is there with me to handle it. This was a confidence what I gained from my ma'am. This is where the teacher with clinical experience plays her main role, not only in the classroom, but also in the clinical area, she will be able to help us. Just I want to say that importance of beauty is felt when we experience it. Soldiers will be proud when they enter into the warfield, and nurses will be able to, and nurses will be proud when they start working. And she can work efficiently when she has a good base, and this is only possible when she has been taught well. That is why importance of clinical experienced teacher is very much higher. And I conclude by saying that a well experienced teacher is have many advantages. I have just a few points in that, and my personal opinion is that a clinically experienced teacher should be appointed, as it will be an asset for all the students and they will boost up the confidence level and even the energy levels. And the main important thing is they will create a good base for all the nurses to work ahead in their future and make them a responsible nurses. And I just want to end up by saying that teaching is the greatest act of optimism, and good teachers know how to bring out the best from their students. Thank you.
So very much. I must say that whether you are doing teaching or clinical, it should be with intensity and dedication so that it becomes spirituality in calling. There is a relationship between practice and teaching. It is reciprocal, we can say. The investment in knowledge pay better results when implemented in clinical practice. As you know, evidence-based practice needs lots of research on real life so that better practice and better patient care can be initiated. Now it's time to take a poll based on your performance. It's not a competition, just a poll. So over to you, Ms. Rupa, for a poll.
Nursing is a practicing profession. We would like to know, where does your vote go after listening the presentation by Alina and Arina? Are we fit to teach nursing without clinical experience? Yes and no. We encourage all the participants, please answer this poll.
Please fast, youngsters, please do fast.
Well, I congratulate Alina for her presentation. It was a tough perspective, and I congratulate all the viewers because you have really shown us that 90% of you believe that nursing is a practice profession. We will not trust a surgeon who has learned from the video. Thank you so much. So we have hope in the country that all of you will only enter the profession after good clinical experience. However, I really once again congratulate Alina because it is not easy at all to take that other perspective, and she did her best. So congratulations to both Alina and Anina.
Thank you so much, Alina and Anina. Thank you so very much. Uma ma'am would like to say 2 words. Uma ma'am just want to add 2 words.
I think both have done very well their part, but that is a fact. And the polling also is showing that nursing is a practical profession. There's no question of it. I mean, in it. And so what they said that you cannot teach well. And that is the reason why today when the nurses are, teachers are not going with the students to the clinical area, there is a gap is increasing between the learning and teaching.
Very true. Very true. Very
So
true.
that is why we must understand that it should be compulsory that even if you are a teacher and you are academician, you must go with the students or any other clinical instructor who may be posted in the clinical area to teach to the students. Because I remember that when I was appearing for my MSc exam after 18 years of gap from my BSc to MSc, and that was the MSc exam. And I was, in the ICU for the exam, and I was given a patient whose cannula was out. Now I dare not, replace it, and I went and called a staff nurse, and she did it. And when I went for my viva, I was asked this, why didn't you do that? I said, because when we learned, this IV insertion, but at that time we were not supposed to do an IV injection. So I never learned it. And I don't want to unnecessarily, give the just trying to show off that yes, I know, and I'm not able to do it. And the examiner was, LT College of Nursing, I'm talking of Anima Thomas, Jashi may be knowing about her. And she was very happy about it, that I told that. So there is no question that without having the clinical experience, a clinical teacher cannot be, cannot teach.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so very much. Over to you, Miss Rupa, please. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alina and Anina. Thank you so much.
Over to Dolma.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Dolma, one of the team member. I'm really very humbled to be introducing our next speaker, a very experienced nurse. From her qualification, her introduction says it all. So she is a nurse, a Reiki healer, a trained NLP, a psychic healer, and a quality expert. I would request Arvinder ma'am, who has 37 years of clinical nursing experience in a government sector and retired from there, and she is still going very active and serving the society. So ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Dolma, introducing me to these beautiful and lovely people. Hi everyone, I am very happy to be here, and I am thankful to all the members of Youth Talk Show team to giving me a chance to share my experiences on my journey towards holistic healing. So this journey started in year 2016 when I came across to read one article on this topic. So first of all, I decided to implement this healing in my department. So I started doing some modalities to learn. So first of all, I did masters in Reiki. Then I did NLP, subconscious mastery, hypnosis, and EFT. And I also joined spirituality. So as all the modalities and spirituality says, ki first of all, work on yourself. So I started working on myself. So I started doing meditation. I started working on my my thoughts and emotions. I started working on my emotional issues. And जैसे कि उससे पहले जो भी मेरी लाइफ के जो भी सिचुएशंस होती थी जहां मैं क्वेश्चन अराइज करती थी, वहां मैंने क्वेश्चन अराइज करने बंद कर दिए और मैं चीज़ों को एक्सेप्ट करने लगी. तो जैसे जैसे मैं चीज़ों को एक्सेप्ट करने लगी तो मैं जो है बहुत ज़्यादा पीसफुल रहने लगी, हैप्पी रहने लगी, और मेरा जो आउटर वर्ल्ड है वो भी बहुत अच्छा होने लगा. एंड जो भी मेरे इंटरेक्शंस होते हैं पीपल के साथ वो बहुत बैलेंस होते हैं, मेरे बिहेवियर्स बहुत अच्छे होने लगे और मेरा जो बॉन्डिंग है लोगों के साथ वो बहुत अच्छी होने लगी. देन आई स्टार्टेड इम्प्लीमेंटिंग एंड एजुकेटिंग माय पेशेंट्स. तो जब मैं अपने पेशेंट्स के पास राउंड पे जाती So they share their problems and they crying कि भाई हमारे ये problem है, there is pain and this and that. So many issues they discuss with me. तो मैं उनको कहती कि इनके ऊपर फोकस ना करके you start doing some gratitude करो, give blessings to people, be thankful to God. तो जैसे वो इन सब चीजों को करने लगे तो जो है वो लोग भी बहुत खुश रहने लगे, उनका जो स्ट्रेस लेवल है वो जो है कम होने लगा। तो उससे जो है मैं जो है बहुत मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि उनका स्ट्रेस लेवल कम है, दे आर हैप्पी, पहले से बहुत खुश नजर आ रहे हैं। तो धीरे धीरे फिर मैंने आई टुक परमिशन फ्रॉम माय डिपार्टमेंट, HOD ऑफ माय डिपार्टमेंट, when he came to know कि there is no side effect of these modalities, so he allowed me to use these modalities on my patients. And then I started organizing some programs for them, like some relaxation therapies, kabhi unke main meditation, gratitude meditation, sometime laughter meditation उनके लिए कराती। तो उनको जितने भी walking patients थे वो इन सब activities में बहुत excitedly they are starting joining, और उनको जो है उनकी वाइब्रेशंस हाई होने लगी, दे स्टार्टेड बीइंग मोर हैप्पी, मोर सेटिस्फाइड, स्ट्रेस फ्री। तो इस तरह से आई वांट जो, और मेरे जो जिनके इंडिविजुअल केसेस होते थे, जो पेशेंट बेड रिडन होते थे, उनके जैसे देयर इज सम ट्यूमर केस, कोई स्पाइन इंजरी का पेशेंट है, तो उनको मैं कुछ इस तरह के विजुअलाइजेशंस बताती, उनको कुछ इस तरह के मेडिटेशन देती, कुछ इस तरह की अफर्मेशंस देती कि यू कीप ऑन रिपीटिंग ऑल दीज अफर्मेशंस। तो इस तरह से जो है पेशेंट्स में हीलिंग बेहतर होने लगी, उनके जो रिजल्ट्स मुझे बहुत सेटिस्फाइंग लगने लगे। तो here I want to share two experiences of my patients. There was one patient, she was suffering from pituitary adenoma. So I explained her ki how your trauma looks like so I showed माई मोबाइल फोन, उस मोबाइल फोन में मैंने उनको दिखाया कि आपका ये जो पिट्यूटरी एडिनोमा है ये आपके ब्रेन के इस हिस्से में ऐसा नजर आता है, तो दिस इज जस्ट लाइक द साइज ऑफ चेरी। तो अब आप यू विजुअलाइज एंड सी दिस ट्यूमर, it is keep on reducing and it has shifted in a one dot, and now this dot is also disappear। तो देखो कि that part of your brain is totally healthy and there is no tumor। तो उस पेशेंट ने इस विजुअलाइजेशन को जैसे करना शुरू किया, तो मैंने जैसे कि मैं एक दिन राउंड पर थी, तो मेरा HOD उसको कह रहे कि मतलब हम तुमको डिस्चार्ज कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वी डोंट नीड कि सर्जरी इज नीडेड, so you come in OPD and be in touch with us there। So it was very happy moment for me, and I give so much gratitude to God कि my one patient, she is being discharged without any surgery। So this was a great, मतलब मेरे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा motivation था कि मतलब ये जो modalities है these are so powerful। So there is one another case, that boy was 18 years old, he was suffering from brachial plexus injury, so he can't put his arm straight। So I explain him some visualization ki you just see ki you are in the temple and you are getting the blessings of the God and you are hitting the bell of the temple and you use your arm which is diseased arm, तो उस arm के साथ आपने you put your arm and you hit the bell of the temple। तो वो बच्चे अभी इस जो है विजुअलाइजेशन को उसने कुछ लंबे समय तक किया, जब तक मतलब क्योंकि उसकी बार सर्जरी वाज बीइंग पोस्टपोन। तो दैट पेशेंट वाज आल्सो डिस्चार्ज एंड आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट पेशेंट इज स्टिल इन माय कनेक्शन एंड वो टोटली विदाउट सर्जरी ही इज फिट एंड फाइन, उसको कोई सर्जरी नहीं करानी पड़ी। तो इस तरह से ये जो इस तरह के पावरफुल चीजें, ये जो फीडबैक्स मुझे मिले, इन्होंने मुझे बहुत मोटिवेशन दिया। तो फिर मैंने आई डिसाइडेड कि व्हाई नॉट आई गो फॉर अ दिस डू दिस प्रैक्टिसेस ऑन अ लार्ज स्केल। सो आई गेव रिक्वेस्ट टू माय डायरेक्टर ऑफ माय हॉस्पिटल, शी एक्सेप्टेड माय एप्लीकेशन एंड शी रेफर्ड टू me neurology department। So with collaboration with Dr. Anu Gupta, she was at the time assistant professor, So we both started working on this project. हमने एक डाटा कलेक्शन परफॉर्मा क्रिएट किया और उसमें आई स्टार्टेड टेकिंग जो है उसमें सारी इंफॉर्मेशन मैं अपने पेशेंट्स की लेती, तो वो डाटा इस तरह से जो स्ट्रक्चर्ड था कि उनके जो भी डीप इश्यूज थे पेशेंट्स के वो हाईलाइट हो जाते, तो मैं उन इश्यूज के ऊपर काम करती. वी यूज्ड वन टेक्निक दैट वाज EFT, इमोशनल फ्रीडम टेक्निक. और ये जो इमोशनल फ्रीडम टेक्निक है, दिस इज जस्ट लाइक अ पेन किलर एंड इट ब्रिंग्स immediate result. Immediately you will see your symptoms are matlab subsiding. So when I was using this technique with my patients, तो मैं देखती कि immediately they say कि ma'am we are feeling very relaxed and we are some heaviness has come out from our chest. तो इस तरह के जब feedback मिलते तो हमें बहुत अच्छा लगता. तो उस time there were 150 patients. और साथ के साथ देयर वाज माय पीरियड ऑफ रिटायरमेंट, मैं रिटायर भी होने जा रही थी, तो आई वांटेड टू वर्क विद देम. मैं उनके साथ रिटायरमेंट के बाद काम करना चाहती थी, लेकिन माय रिक्वेस्ट वाज नॉट एक्सेप्टेड. एनीहाउ आई टुक माय रिटायरमेंट हैप्पीली फ्रॉम देयर. सो इमीडिएटली आफ्टर माय रिटायरमेंट आई गिव माय रिक्वेस्ट टू श्री गुरु हरकृष्ण हॉस्पिटल, बंगला साहिब, न्यू दिल्ली, where my application was accepted. Then I was given chance to serve there. So at that place till date I am working there as a counselor, as a alternative medicine doctor. मेरी वहाँ 2 days OPD होती है, Tuesday and Friday. There are so many patients come to me of different cases like emotional issues, mental issues, relationship issues, some challenges and all, behavioral problems. तो उनके साथ मैं काम करती हूँ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. एंड उनकी रिकवरी बहुत ही ज़्यादा फास्ट हो जाती है. मैं आपको एक अभी रिसेंट लास्ट OPD का केस बताती हूँ. वन पेशेंट केम विद CT स्कैन. उसको 5-7 ईयर्स से उसको हेडेक था. तो जैसे कि बंगला साहब गुरुद्वारे में CT स्कैन स्टार्ट हो गया है 700 समथिंग पर, there is CT scan is being done. So lady came to me with CT scan and I found ki there is nothing. Her CT scan was, his report was normal. So I tell her to do EFT. मैंने उसको अपने साथ EFT कराया and before me sitting in front of me उसके सारे symptoms उसी time down होने लगे और वो एकदम से surprise हो गई कि मतलब मैं तो 7 साल से इस प्रॉब्लम से डिस्टर्ब हूँ. एंड शी वाज क्राइंग लाइक एनीथिंग एंड शी वाज सो ग्रेटफुल टू मी कि मैम ये आपने क्या कराया है मेरे को, कि मेरे सिम्टम्स एकदम से मतलब मुझे इतना अच्छा लग रहा है. और कल उसका फोन मेरे पास आया कि मैडम मैं आपका बहुत ग्रेटिट्यूड करती हूँ, मैं इतने साल से इस प्रॉब्लम से जो है मैं सफरिंग में थी और आपने मतलब एक मुझे मैं उनको सबको एम्पावर कर देती हूँ कि आप इस टेक्निक को, जो भी मेरी मतलब प्रैक्टिसेस होती हैं, टूल्स होती हैं, उनको मैं एम्पावर कर देती हूँ कि वो बार बार मेरे पास ना आए और वो उन चीज़ों को यूज़ करें और खुद जो है अपनी जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उनको जो है वो कंट्रोल करें, उनके ऊपर काम करें. तो आज इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर मैं आप सभी को ये मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ कि टुडे व्हाट वी आर डूइंग, वी आर ओनली वर्किंग ऑन द फिजिकल हेल्थ, जबकि वी आर बियॉन्ड दिस. बॉडी से परे हम बहुत कुछ हैं. वी आर माइंड, वी आर सोल. तो ये जो एरिया है माइंड एंड सोल है, ये अनअटेंडेड रहता है. आज अगर बॉडी में कोई सिम्टम होता है तो इट्स रूट कॉज इज सम अनदर, मतलब उसका कोई डीप कॉज होता है. जो भी इसकी प्रॉब्लम होती है, अर्थराइटिस है, बैकएक है, माइग्रेन है, दीज आर ओनली सिम्टम्स बट देयर रूट कॉज आर डीप हिडन इन द माइंड, इन द बॉडी. तो उनके ऊपर हमें काम करना है. तो जैसे ही हम उनके ऊपर काम करना शुरू करेंगे तो मतलब मैं आपको बताती हूँ कि मिरेकल्स हम कर सकते हैं इस मतलब मेडिकल फील्ड में. कि आज आप देखें कि हॉस्पिटल्स में more than 80% the patients who are admitted, they are admitted with psychosomatic diseases, autoimmune diseases, mental disorders. और जब पेशेंट OPD में आता है तो उसकी रिपोर्ट्स नॉर्मल होती हैं, तो डॉक्टर सेज कि देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम, आप स्ट्रेस करते हो, और तब भी डॉक्टर ही एडवाइजेस ड्रग्स. तो I surprised कि why doctors are prescribing medicines. जो जिस प्रॉब्लम का रूट कॉज जो है वो थॉट्स हैं, इमोशंस हैं, बिलीफ सिस्टम है, एटीट्यूड है, एंड हाउ वी कैन ट्रीट दोज प्रॉब्लम्स विद मेडिसिन्स. तो इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर जितने भी मुझे लोग सुन रहे हैं उन सभी को मतलब मैं ये मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ, और मैं चाहती हूँ कि यू पीपल कम फॉरवर्ड एंड कुछ इस तरह का अपने सेटअप में, अपने जो हॉस्पिटल्स में एक इस तरह का एक यूनिट बनाएं जहाँ पे इस तरह के लोग हों जो होलिस्टिक हीलिंग के ऊपर काम कर रहे हों, जो माइंड और बॉडी के ऊपर काम कर रहे हों, जो पेशेंट्स के इमोशनल इश्यूज के ऊपर काम कर रहे हों. मैं आज आपको बताती हूँ कि जब मेरे पास पेशेंट आता है तो मैं उसको कहती हूँ कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है, तो पेशेंट अपनी डायग्नोसिस बताता है. तो मैं कहती हूँ मुझे आपके डायग्नोसिस नहीं सुनने हैं, मुझे आप बताओ कि व्हाट आर योर कंप्लेंट्स. तो फिर वो मुझे अपनी कंप्लेंट्स बताता है कि मेरे को ये, तो जैसे ही वो अपनी कंप्लेंट्स बताता है तो आई नो कि व्हाट इज द कॉज ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज ईच एंड एवरी ऑर्गन ऑफ आवर बॉडी इज कनेक्टेड विद पर्टिकुलर थॉट एंड इमोशन. तो जब हम उस थॉट एंड इमोशन से एक लंबे समय तक गुजरते हैं, देन ओवर दैट पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गन इट गेट्स डिजीज्ड. तो इसके ऊपर हमें काम करना है. फिर मैं उनसे पूछती हूँ कि अच्छा बताओ कितने साल से आपको ये प्रॉब्लम है. तो कोई कहेगा 2 साल, 4 साल, 5 साल, 10 साल, कोई 20 साल भी कहता है. 20 साल से वो इस प्रॉब्लम को झेल रहे हैं, मेडिसिन खा रहे हैं, साइड इफेक्ट्स हैं. और उस टाइम मतलब मेरे को बहुत मतलब आई फील वन वेरी अनइजीनेस की मतलब क्या हो क्या रहा है. पेशेंट लगातार दवाइयां खा रही है, दवाइयों की साइड इफेक्ट्स हो रहे हैं उनको. तो फिर मैं उनको कहती हूँ कि अच्छा बताओ इस पीरियड पे आपकी लाइफ में क्या हुआ, कोई लाइफ में कुछ चेंज आया, कोई इस तरह की इमोशनल इवेंट आपकी लाइफ में हुई थी, क्या चेंज आया था आपकी लाइफ में. तो वो रिकॉल करते हैं. अगर वो रिकॉल नहीं कर पाते तो व्हेन आई स्टार्ट माय हीलिंग सेशन then that thought came in their mind कि this happened with them. तो फिर वो अपने ओपन करते हैं. there are some trauma, there are some painful memories, some experiences of their life. There is suppressed anger, there is suppressed resentment. So these all emotional pains, these convert into body pains, convert into psychosomatic diseases, autoimmune diseases. तो आज मेरा आप सभी को ये मैसेज है कि हम पेशेंट के जैसे उन इमोशनल इश्यूज के ऊपर काम करना शुरू करेंगे तो हम पाएंगे कि ऑटोमेटिकली उनके जो उनके सिम्टम्स हैं वो डेफिनेटली रिड्यूस होने लगेंगे. जैसे कि मैं तो करती हूँ एंड आई मतलब मेरे को आई get the results immediately in front of my eyes. वो पेशेंट्स बेहतर होने लगते हैं. और मैं जहाँ कहीं भी जाती हूँ जो है मेरे साथ एक डॉक्टर बैठती है. जैसे पेशेंट आता है सबसे पहले उसको ये कहा जाता है कि तुमको ये जो है डिप्रेशन है, तुम्हें ये OCD है, तुम्हें ये बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर है, यू हैव टू टेक मेडिसिन. आप मेडिसिन एक दिन भी मिस करोगे तो ये प्रॉब्लम आपकी ठीक नहीं होगी. तो मैं सरप्राइज होती हूँ कि ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हैं. नहीं, ये बिल्कुल गलत है. मेडिसिन्स एक पीरियड तक हम दे सकते हैं व्हेन देयर आर एक्यूट सिम्टम्स. व्हेन दीज आर बिकम्स क्रोनिक पेशेंट्स तो ये इनकी जहाँ 2 टैबलेट है देन इट बिकम 4, देन इट बिकम 8 एंड दिस जो है ये जो काउंटिंग है ये बढ़ती रहती है. तो मेरा आप सभी से ये मैसेज है कि हम इसके ऊपर काम करें, अपनी इमोशनल हेल्थ के ऊपर काम करें, अपनी जो है मेंटल हेल्थ पे काम करें, अपने रिलेशनशिप्स को हम बेहतर करें. क्योंकि अगर मेरी लाइफ में कुछ डिस्टर्बेंस है, मेरे रिलेशनशिप में कोई डिस्टर्बेंस है, मेरे ऑफिस में कोई डिस्टर्बेंस है, मेरी ड्यूटी कहीं ट्रांसफर हो गई है जहां मैं नहीं चाहती काम करने, तो सम disturbance happens in my mind, in my body, and there are harmful hormones they start secreting. तो ये जो है हम इसको समझ ही नहीं पाते हैं. इसको हम जो एज इट इज एक्सेप्ट करके और अपनी लाइफ को हेल्थ बनाते रहते हैं और इन प्रॉब्लम्स के साथ, बीमारियों के साथ बढ़ते रहते हैं. तो मेरा आप सबसे यही मैसेज है कि अगर हम इनके ऊपर काम करेंगे तो देयर इज सो मच रश इन IPD OPD. More than 80% patients are lying in the hospitals with these problems. अगर हम इनके एनर्जी लेवल के ऊपर काम करने लगे, जब इनके सिम्टम्स अभी शुरू हो रहे हैं उनके ऊपर काम करें. Why we allow them to go their problems at a structure level, at a pathological level? क्यों हम इनके एनर्जी लेवल के ऊपर इनको एड्रेस क्यों नहीं करते हैं? जब हम इनको इस लेवल पे एड्रेस करेंगे तो वो जो रश है आईपीडी में, ओपीडी में, वो बिल्कुल कम हो जाएगा। और जो हमारे पेशेंट्स का जो एक फाइनेंशियल जो बजट है, या हमारे नेशन का जो फाइनेंशियल बजट है जो हेल्थ के ऊपर जाता है, उसको हम कितने लेवल पे रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं, रश खत्म कर सकते हैं। और आप सभी जो मुझे सुन रहे हैं, आप सबके लिए मेरा ये मैसेज है कि आज अगर मैं इम्बैलेंस हूँ तो मैं अपने आसपास जो है नेगेटिविटी फैला रही हूँ, स्ट्रेस फैला रही हूँ। अगर मैं पीसफुल हूँ, इफ आई एम हैप्पी, इफ आई एम वर्किंग ऑन माई इमोशनल इश्यूज, so I am balanced, I am happy, so I will spread happiness my all around. So first message I want to give to all the nurses, to work on your emotional health, to work on your mental health, and do meditation, charge yourself every day with meditation. Try to forget things which are not useful for them. कुछ इस तरह के issues हैं, उनको forget करो, let go करो, accept करो चीजों को. Don't question on the things, because there is nothing in our hand. Existence is doing everything. We are only the instruments of God. Things are happening through us. God is doing everything. We have to play our role in a very very जो है right way, in a sincerity से हमें अपना काम करना है, ईमानदारी से काम करना है. बस यही, जब हम अपने ऊपर काम करेंगे तो हम देखेंगे कि हम अपनी पेशेंट केयर को भी बहुत अच्छा कर सकते हैं. तो मेरे पास बहुत लिमिटेड समय है. मैं
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are very sorry that we have only like 20 minutes for you. We will feel like listening to you again, like continuously non-stop. But we surely will listen to you again, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming here today and enlightening all of us. It was a very nice and motivating talk, ma'am.
Thank you.
Over to Rupa, ma'am.
Thank you so
Chris,
much.
can you
Yeah, thank you
Yes.
so much. So here we are moving to our quiz session. We appreciate all the students. 1 minute. So every episode we have our student quiz for students as well as for public. So this time also we appreciate all the students for your support. And the quiz for students, the rule is like this is only for nursing students and only one submission per student. Write your complete answer in the chat box, either in Zoom or your Facebook Live. Student who writes the correct answer first will be the winner, and winner will get small cash prize. So here question comes: what is the alternative scoring system to Glasgow Coma Scale to assess the level of consciousness by the nurses? I repeat the question. What is the alternative scoring system to Glasgow Coma Scale to assess the level of consciousness by the nurses? You can start writing your answer. Thank you. Over to you, Rupa.
Thank you very much, dear Krish. So now we are having a young, dynamic, intelligent, versatile nurse educator, Mr. Uni Krishnan. Mr. Uni Krishnan is having 8 years of clinical experience. He did his BSc nursing from Trivandrum Medical College and MSc nursing from JIPMER. He is emergency neuro life science fellow. Completed his fellowship actually. He is currently working as a nursing educator. Just a moment, I'm so sorry, there is a yes senior instructor, Max head office. So over to you, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And today in this section where we are talking about the public advocacy, today we are talking about stroke. As we all know, hypertension is one of the commonest non-communicable diseases, and everybody, in fact, in every family, one person is suffering with the hypertension. The next complication and many other causes of stroke we are going to listen today. Over to you, Mr. Uni Krishnan. Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, all. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Mr. Krishnan, you are audible. May I request you to make your slides full screen, please?
Is it visible, ma'am?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful introduction. And thanks for all the organizing members to give me an opportunity to share my views about stroke prevention, early identification and management. So I need a volunteer now. I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer from this group.
Okay. So can I be your volunteer if you don't mind?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, what is the first image you can see on this slide?
ये एक्चुअली पानी का जो पाइप होता है इट इज दैट जो रस्टेड है
Okay.
एंड देयरफॉर इट वाज या
Second image.
सेकंड इमेज इज अ पाइप लीकिंग पाइप
Okay. And what will be the ultimate result if your
No
pipeline
water.
is getting blocked?
या या
No water. Okay. Same thing if you think about our human body. Suppose think that your brain is not getting, your blood vessel is getting blocked or the blood vessel is getting ruptured. What will be the outcome? What will happen to our body or to our brain? That is stroke. It is nothing but, ma'am, thanks, ma'am.
थैंक यू Uniji, you continue, sir.
Ma'am, again, I want to ask you, suppose if your water line is broken, what you will do first?
I am in trouble today.
We will call the plumber.
You have to call the plumber. Great, ma'am. Suppose you know that your water is not coming with good pressure. What we have to do?
We'll do the cleaning of the pipe.
We'll try to clean the pipe. Same thing we have to do for the stroke also. Just I'll start my class or my speech. Stroke is nothing but it is just like a disruption to the blood flow in the brain. That can lead to functional disabilities. It can be life-threatening or it can be any other disabilities that can affect the quality of life of the victim. Every year, 29th October, we celebrate as World Stroke Day. And this year, they had come up with a new idea that 1 out of 6, इसका मतलब यही है, out of 6, 1 is at a risk of getting stroke. And as per the Global Burden of Disease, 2019 has given the idea that out of 1,000 population or 1,000 people, 3 are in a risk of getting stroke every hour. It is just like a disease that can be preventable. It is a neuro emergency. In this, if your brain is not getting the proper blood supply, definitely that will be damaging the many functional areas. If the areas are getting damaged, definitely the quality of the life will be getting affected. They'll be having many problems, like they'll be having problem with moving their limbs. They'll be having problem with speech. They'll be having memory problems. So there is a beautiful quote that time is brain. The time is lost, brain is lost. So early identification, early treatment can bring the patient back to the normal life. If you lose that thing, definitely that will worsen the life of the victim, that is stroke victim. Here you can see the core components of stroke management includes, first thing is educate at risk and high risk patients. For the public, we are having stroke riskometer. That is that you can download from the App Store or from the Play Store, and you have to enter some data so that the public will get an idea about what is their stroke risk. Next is, based on their stroke risk, their family members can be little bit vigilant or alert. That means they can mainly focus on the early recognition of stroke signs. That we'll be discussing in this slide. And third thing is, immediately we have to shift the victim if the victim is having any signs and symptoms of stroke. and rapid hospital triage and evaluation. So, पहले हमने देखा है 2 pictures. One picture is showing blockage and one is showing the rupture. So same like that, stroke is divided into 2. One is ischemic and other one is hemorrhagic. Ischemic is nothing but it is just like a blockage to the blood vessel that is carrying blood to the brain. And hemorrhagic is nothing but it is just rupture inside the brain. Any blood vessel is rupturing inside the brain or inside the cranial cavity, that we call it as hemorrhagic stroke. So next, moving on to the prevention part, right? Prevention is better than cure, right? Same like that, here we are having 2 factors. One is the modifiable factor and the other one is the non-modifiable thing. Modifiable factors mainly comes high blood pressure. As ma'am said, it's a silent killer, right? If you know that you are having hypertension, please check your BP regularly. Kindly adhere with the medication. Follow your doctor regularly so that we will get an idea that whether your blood pressure is under control or not. Second thing is heart diseases. Definitely high blood pressure can lead to heart diseases. If any person is having a known case of heart disease, definitely they have to do periodic checkup, they have to take the cardiac medicines properly, they have to do some lifestyle modifications too. Third thing is diabetes mellitus. This is one of the common thing. If you take 10% out of 10, definitely 4 or 5 will be having either diabetes or hypertension. What will happen in diabetes mellitus? It is having 2 complications. One is macrovascular as well as microvascular complication. Macro means it will be affecting the small vessels. And micro means it will be affecting the small vessels, and macro means it will be affecting the larger vessels. In the diabetes, the blood vessel will be getting shrink because of the increased amount of glucose in the systemic circulation. If the blood vessels are getting shrink, that can lead to either heart attack or that can lead to MI. Third thing is increased cholesterol level or lipid level. In the increased cholesterol level or lipid level, definitely it will lead to blockage of your arteries. Arteries is nothing but it's a vessel that is carrying oxygenated blood. Smoking. Nicotine in the cigarette can make your blood thicker and that can lead to thrombus formation. Third thing is excess alcohol consumption. I had taken this particular thing from the book, but a study has conducted in 2018 at King's College of Nursing in UK. They had come up with a new idea that taking alcohol on alternate days is good for heart and brain. That is an exceptional thing that we have to discuss afterwards. But as per the risk factors, excess amount of alcohol can lead to atrial fibrillation. Your heart atrium will be just fibrillating. That can lead to small thrombus formation or clot formation that can enter into the brain and can lead to ischemic stroke. Okay. It is a common problem that most of the persons are facing, oral contraceptives. In the oral contraceptives, combined pills are very, very dangerous. If anyone is taking combined pill, that can lead to shrinkage of the blood vessel, more amount of estrogen, and that can lead to further damage to the blood vessel, and that will make your blood more thicker. Again, in the contraceptives, even hormonal preparations are also important. Even males are taking more amount of testosterone just for making their muscle mass and all. But if they take more amount of testosterone from the external source, again, their risk increases. Last thing is stress and anxiety. Obviously, we know that stress and anxiety, it can be work-related pressure, it can be any family-related pressure. Whenever you are in stress and anxiety, some stress hormones will be released. as a result of increase in stress hormones, definitely we are in a risk of getting either cardiac disease or stroke. So from these modifiable factors, these factors we can modify by our daily living. Blood pressure, definitely by taking medicines on time. Heart disease, best thing is that consult a doctor, take the medication and take the proper treatment. Diabetes, one is lifestyle modification. Second thing is they have to regulate their sugar intake. They have to restrict some intake or some or limit the intake of some fruits, vegetables and other red meats. Definitely hyperdyslipidemia by controlling their cholesterol intake or fat intake or their oil intake. Smoking, that is again the lifestyle modification part. Excessive alcohol consumption, oral contraception and stress. For stress and anxiety, we can move on to some yoga therapy or some other stress relaxing therapies are available nowadays. Second thing is non-modifiable, that we can't modify. It's a part of prevention. Age. Nowadays, both male and females are at risk of getting stroke. If you go to any of the hospital, we are having young stroke also. Less than 15 years, less than 18 years, young champs are getting stroke and they'll be admitting to the hospital. The reason is that their lifestyle, their food habits, that we can modify, but thing is that we parents are just ignoring our kids. Whatever they want, we'll be giving to them. Ultimately, they'll be ending up with complications. Gender, both males and females are at risk of getting stroke after a certain age. Girls after menopause and males after andropause, both will come under same category. Then hereditary. Definitely, if your first degree relationship person or parent is having a stroke, history of stroke, their son or their daughter is in a risk of getting stroke attack 60 to 65%. If the father is having a stroke attack, definitely son is having a risk of getting 80% of risk. Next is previous vascular events, myocardial infarction, transient ischemic attack or peripheral embolism. Transient ischemic attack is just like a mini stroke. Here any small vessel is getting affected or it will be for a minimal time period. High fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is nothing but it is a type of clotting factor. If the amount of fibrin is increased, definitely your blood will become more thicker and that can lead to clot formation. If the clot is formed, it can move to any of the vessel, it can lead to myocardial infarction or it can lead to stroke. Next is increased homocysteine level. Here homocysteine is just like a byproduct of our protein metabolism. If the homocysteine level is increased, that means that your blood viscosity is more. If the blood viscosity is more, definitely again there is a risk of getting stroke.
Mr. Krishnan, please don't mind if I'll say we are bound to time. So I am just looking for your more important slide for the future because we are having just 2 to 3 minutes, sir. Over to you, sir.
I will be finishing. So these are the warning signs of stroke. Here in the warning signs of stroke, first thing is that you can see they'll be having behavioral changes. They'll be having problem with balance, control and coordination. Next is eye problem. Eye problem can be either they'll be having double vision, they'll be having gazy vision, or they can't see it properly. Third thing is facial drooping. Facial drooping is nothing but they'll be having a problem with swallowing, so that they will be having facial asymmetry or deviation. Their saliva will be coming out from their mouth. It will be drooping. Next is arm weakness. Arm weakness is nothing but they'll be having some weakness in either their upper extremities, lower extremities, or upper arm or lower arm. Next is slurred speech. They will try to speak something, but their sound or their words, they can't articulate properly. And last thing is time to call the ambulance. This is the warning sign of stroke. That is, be fast. How to manage this stroke? For the management of stroke, we are having two things. One is pre-arrival. The pre-arrival management, we have to done it in the home care setting or in the inside the home. And post-arrival, definitely in the acute stroke center. Here we have 70s. In the pre-arrival phase, that is detection. First thing is we have to detect what are the warning signs. Suppose someone is taking tea or coffee along with me, if he develops some kind of weakness or something like that, definitely I have to assess that person, and I have to, after assessment, I have to mainly focus on be fast warning sign. If that person is having some kind of weakness or something like that, definitely I have to assume that this person is having a acute stroke attack. Or if it is inside the home, immediately you can check the glucose level, because in hypoglycemia, if the sugar level is reduced, that also can show the stroke-like symptoms. Following that, if anything is abnormal, immediately inform to the nearby hospital or acute stroke center. Remember, we usually take the patient to a small clinic. That does not work. Immediately, we have to take the patient to a hospital that is having a proper stroke center or tertiary care hospital where they have the proper management. Following the dispatch, next is delivery. Immediately, we have to shift the patient to the nearby hospital for giving proper medical care. In the hospital setting, once we had given the pre-arrival information to the hospital, definitely they will be equipped with all the care, or they will be ready to receive the patient in the casualty or the emergency setting. Following that, we have to take the quick data. We have to do the quick assessment that will be done in the casualty. Then we have to do some investigation. Based on the investigation, we have to think whether that patient needs either drug or the interventional therapies. So stroke is nothing but, just remember, it is just like a blockage in your water line, or it is just like a broken pipe inside your house. So in both the cases, first thing is, if the pipeline is blocked, definitely we have to do some chemicals or something like that so that we can make the pipeline clear. If it is ruptured, definitely we have to think regarding some intervention. Same thing we have to think regarding a human being also. If any blockage is there, if that can be treated with medical management, that is better. If it is not, then we have to think regarding surgical modalities. Here we can, if you are bringing the patient within 30 minutes to 3 hours of this warning sign of stroke, then the outcome will be good. So that they will be having very minimal disabilities. If it is more than 3 to 4 hours or up to 7 hours, we can think regarding surgical modalities or interventional modalities, but the outcome or the patient prognosis as well as the quality of life will be getting affected. So again, I'm repeating, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of care. Remember, always remember the warning sign. There are two silent killers, that is hypertension and blood pressure. Along with that, dyslipidemia or increased amount of lipid in your blood. Try to follow with our lifestyle modification. Just do some stress relaxing exercises like yoga, meditation, or anything like that. Take more amount of water. If you take more amount of water, definitely your blood viscosity will be getting reduced. There is minimal risk of getting clot formation. Quit the smoking. Quit the intake of alcohol. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krishnan. It was amazing. Thanks for sharing and updating ourselves with such a detailed presentation. Over to you, Krish. Thanks again, Mr. Unikrishnan, for being part of the show.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. So now it's time to have our next quiz question. This is for public. This is not for any nurses or nursing students. This is purely for public only. Public means those are not from medical or nursing. Only one submission per participants, and you can choose the best answer and you can type alphabet A, B, C or G in the chat box. The one who writes the correct answer first will be the winner, and winner will get the small cash prize via Google Pay. So the question here comes: which of the following should women know is important factor or factors in suspecting breast cancer early? Option A, breast self-examination. Option B, mammography if you are above 40 years old. And option C, already having cancer of ovary. And option D, all of the above. So this is only for public. Those are not from nursing or medical. Thank you. Now it's time to have some some talent show, as we have every time talent corner. So this time also we have a dance. It's a duet dance. As last time also we have said, dance is a universal language. It can break the language barriers. And dance is the joy of movement and the heart of life. So here I invite our team to please play the video of a dance which was done by Miss Shindu and Miss Helna. Both are second year BSc Nursing students from Delhi.
ऐगिरि नन्दिनि नन्दित मेधिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दनुते गिरिवरविन्ध्य शिरोधिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरधर्षिणि दुर्मुखमर्षिणि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि कील्बिषमोषिणि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिसुतरोषिणि दुर्मदशोषिणि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Excellent, Helena and Sindhu. Excellent.
Thank you so much. It was really wonderful dance, though it was a 2-minute dance, but it was super. So now here time to announce the winners. As we have not received good response for public from the public actually. So here I am sharing the results. So the question was for students, what is the alternative scoring system to Glasgow Coma Scale to assess the level of consciousness by the nurses? So the answer is 4, F-O-U-R. It stands for Full Outline of Unresponsiveness Scale. It is almost similar to Glasgow Coma Scale, except the brainstem reflex, and it is mainly used to, it's a clinical scale to assess the impairment of consciousness. Even the patient is in with or without endotracheal intubation. So that's the answer for this. And winner is Miss Kiran Raikola, who is a BSc Nursing 4th year student. And the following woman is important factor in suspecting breast cancer early. And the answer is all the above. I think still we have not received any response from the public, so we don't have any winner in public session. So well done, congratulations to all. Thanks to all. And before winding up, it's about sincere gratitude from all of us before that, I would like to say like about our next episode. It will be on 23rd April, and it is also in the same format. We have a section who would be speaking, who is speaking about the hepatitis, who is working with hepatitis patient. So she will be speaking on that. Then one student debate will be there, and the last we have a nursing officer public health talk by a Mr. Joseph Jennings. So please join us for the next show, because our show always aims to motivate nurses and nursing students. And we always feel to bring a large system change by changing the attitude of nurse and empowering with right, positive, and constructive knowledge. So before winding up, I'll like to share a small story which is like related to happiness actually. You might have heard about this, but this is a very small story, but have a good meaning. This story was narrated by a surgeon, actually, in his experience. On a very busy morning at about 8:30 a.m., an elderly gentleman, almost 80 years of old, arrived to have the hospital to remove his stitch, which was in his thumb. So he was very hurry, actually, the patient. So as he said, he had another appointment at 9 a.m. But still, the doctor tried to remove his stitch. He took his vital signs and told him to sit down, and knowing it would be an hour before someone would be able to see him. But doctor said that he know that he was very restless. The patient was very restless, and even the doctor asked him, do you have any urgency? The gentleman shook his head, and he said that he needed to go to the nursing home to eat breakfast with his wife. And the doctor inquired about her health, what happened to her. So he told that she had been there for a while, and that she was a victim of Alzheimer's disease. Everybody know about Alzheimer's disease, how the patient would be. And as they both talked, then the surgeon asked if she would be upset if you will become more little late, then what will happen? Then he replied that she no longer knew who he was, that she had not recognized him in 5 years. Since 5 years, the wife is not recognized that his husband is caring her. So the doctor got very surprised and asked him, and you still go every morning, even though she doesn't know who you are? Then he smiled and he patted and said, she doesn't know me, but I still know who she is. So this is the story that where the true love is. It is neither physical nor romantic. It is an acceptance of all that is, has been, will be, and will not be. So one thing is that happiest people don't necessarily have the best of everything. They just make the best of everything they have. So life is not about how to survive the storm, but how to dance in the rain. So I guess this is the best message we can, from the on behalf of Deoksha, we can give. Be always happy and be connected with us. See you in the next episode. Here we winding up, and always reach to us through our email or our Facebook or as well as YouTube. Thank you once again from all core team. Thank you.